Well, this is interesting. Welcome back to the 11th Fret, everybody. My name is Chris, and I'm broadcasting from the NAMM Show in the Content Creator Studio. This is kind of cool, actually. They have this whole room set up, and this is new. This is new to NAMM. And also what's new to NAMM is this Fender Standard Stratocaster. And the Standard Stratocaster is interesting because it's been around for quite a while, and then it just disappeared. So in the past, we saw the American Standard Stratocaster, then we saw the Standard Stratocaster, which was, the Made in Mexico line, and then they were replaced effectively with the Player Series. And on the American side, the American Professional and the American Professional 2. But yeah, this is a really, really interesting entry-level Fender to the market. Now, there's also Squier. We all know Squier. Squier's been around for quite a long time. They build phenomenal products. I've reviewed some of them on the channel. What's interesting about this guitar, as opposed to the previous Standard line, is that this is not made in Mexico, nor is it made in the United States. This is actually made in Indonesia. It's funny because I posted this on Threads that I was not really that thrilled, I guess, with an Indonesian product with a Fender logo on it. But then I got to thinking a little bit more, and this is not the first Fender product that's been made in Indonesia. I mean, I could easily point out right now the Fender Telecaster FMT, the flame maple top with the two humbuckers. That's made in Indonesia, and those sell for about what? $1,000, and they're great guitars. I've played them too. So now we come to this, and this retails at $599 plus taxes in your state, or no tax at all. I don't know. Depends on the state you're in, but $599 is the price. What does $599 come with? I don't exactly know if it includes a case or a gig bag. I'm inclined to say it won't. So I think $599 just covers the guitar. Fender also, with the Standard line, released a few other products too. With the Fender Standard series, there is a Telecaster, there's an HSS, which is what I've got here. There is a regular Stratocaster, SSS. There is a P-Bass and a J-Bass. And I think that's the array. I think that's where they're going with it. And so, I'm a skeptic, like everybody else. $599 for this. Now, I come from a world where in retail, I was a manager at Guitar Center back in the early 2000s, and a Standard Stratocaster and Telecaster that was on the floor, that was made in Mexico, was priced at $349, and then it went up to about $399.99 by the time I left the company. And we factor in inflation and things like that, and we can get to this point. Now things are being made in Indonesia, it's cheaper labor, things like that, but a lot of the construction quality is the same. So what's interesting about this one is this is made out of poplar. The body is poplar. Poplar is not the prettiest wood, but it also it's very cost effective too, and just pretty easy to come across. But it's not one of those woods you really want to stain. And in my experience, because I have a couple poplar bodies on my older Fender guitars, and I've found that they don't hold up in the long run. They get a little soft, and I have a lot of crumbling issues, if you will. And that's probably just unique to the slab of wood. I do take care of my guitars, contrary to what I just said. But this is actually really cool. So this is a candy apple red, but it's actually more of like a metallic candy apple red. I don't know if you could see that. I'm gonna try to get some B-roll as well. And it's got your volume, tone, just like you would see on any other Stratocaster, a 5-way blade switch. And this 5-way blade, I mean, I can't take apart this guitar right here in the studio. It would be kind of stupid, but it feels like kind of like an Oak Grigsby switch. It might not be. I would love to get my hands on one of these later and take it apart and see what's going on. But the pots do feel good. The switch feels great. It feels like quality. So that's a plus. As far as the pickups are concerned, the pickups are ceramic. So it's what Fender's calling their standard ceramic pickups. And they have advertised them as being hotter with that classic Fender tone. So I don't really know what that means. I mean, a classic Fender tone to me is going to be something like, in the late 50s, early 60s. Hotter is a little strange to me. And ceramic magnets, they do tend to lend themselves to being hotter. So there's that. So we'll check that out together. As far as the neck is concerned, it's really interesting. There's no skunk stripe on this at all whatsoever. No skunk stripe. So it's just it's a modern C profile. So it's a little thinner than your standard C. It's not quite wizard, but it's comfortable in the hand. It's got I believe a rosewood board on this too, which is really cool. And it's a slab, and it looks really good. The frets feel great. I'll say this about the fret ends. There's no sharp edges on this whatsoever. I mean, right there. Right there's a little bit of one. What is that? Like the 17th fret? But that's nothing that can't be fixed. I mean, just a good setup will take care of that for you. As going down the pipeline here as well, we've got a 2-point bridge, and we've got these brushed chrome saddles. And I'm not really sure what this bridge is. This is not something I've ever seen on a Fender product. I've seen bridges like this on the older Squiers standard line. So part of me is inclined to say that this is the same bridge assembly that Squier used to put on their standard line. But I don't know if it's hard to say. To kind of branch off a little bit from that, the hardware that comes on Fender guitars is a lot of times import, even like on an American Pro 2 or an American Vintage reissue. The tuning keys are often made by Ping Wells. The hardware is made usually over in Asia somewhere. And so it really doesn't matter when it comes to hardware. I mean, people will try and say like, I'm going to upgrade my tuners to something else. And a lot of times it's off the same factory line. They all do it. It's kind of funny in that respect. But yeah, I mean, the tuning keys are your standard Fender tuning keys that you'll find on your basic Fender guitar that's made in the USA. They have the upgraded tuners, of course. You could just drop right in if you want, which are the lockers or the locking tuners, and they'll drop right in on this. No problem. Another interesting thing on this too that I noticed is the truss rod axis here, and I can't quite tell. I've been trying to figure this out. The truss rod axis might be a walnut slug. It might be polished. I mean, it kind of looks like it's been coated in like a polyurethane, so it's got a really high gloss. When it comes to the price point of $599, I'm not really sure if I'm in line with that yet. So I think the most important thing to do is to play it, because that's really what it all boils down to anyways, is how does the guitar play? Does it fit well in the hand? Is it built well? Is the construction great? And so, yeah, I don't know. Let's take a look. Now, real quick too, this guitar, I just bumped the mic. I'm going to break this before anything else. But the guitar itself was set up. I don't know why Fender did this. The bridge is really high. And I think that's really peculiar to me that they would set up a bridge that high, especially for content creators, because I'm in the creator studio, which is new this year at NAMM. And it's really, really cool that they have this. There's a lot of guitars on the wall. There's some Gibsons here. There's some Fenders. There's Paul Reed Smith guitars. And it's meant for the content creators to film and do their thing and try out the new products. But this was not set up. I don't feel like this is set up. So it's kind of weird, because I feel like the one guitar I grabbed off the wall is one that I could easily just, I don't know, kind of crap all over. And I hope not to. So without further ado, let's give this thing a go. So what I'm using is their rig as part of this setup. So we've got a Palmer Pocket Amp MK2. I'm trying to keep it simple. I don't want to use any sort of crazy effects or anything like that. I want to use a clean. And I also want to use just a little bit of overdrive to give you an impression as to what's going on. As far as the settings on here are concerned, I'm using the vintage amp, and in the mode I'm using clean, and then I'll be going to crunch and then to heavy. It's got a kind of a darker tone to it. Let's position 2. Middle pickup. I'm afraid of using the tremolo because of how high up this thing is. I feel like I'm not going to go back into tune. I'm going to be really weird. All right, let's go to position 4. One of my favorite positions. Not bad. Neck. It's not bad. Okay, let's check this out with a little bit of crunch. Let's turn up the gain a little bit. All right, let's try this. Not bad. Middle. Position 4, middle and neck. Neck only. Let's try a little heavy. middle, or I'm sorry, position 2, bridge and middle. Can't help but wiggle the wiggle stick. Middle. All right. Middle neck, position 4. Not bad. Neck only. Ooh, listen to that buzz. I mean, my initial impressions, it doesn't have bad bones. I'll say that. So let's just be honest. Let's just say what's on my mind. It's got a Fender logo on it. And I think that's kind of where the buck stops for me. I mean, I do like the way that the fret ends feel. I think they could be dressed a little bit better on the ends, but it's not bad. It's not bad, but for $599 for a made in Indonesia guitar, I kind of would expect a better setup than this came with. As far as the tuning keys are concerned, I mean, I've never been crazy about Fender's standard tuning keys, so I often replace them anyways. I could either use their vintage tuning keys that will drop right in, or I could use their locking tuning keys as well. The nut feels good. The nut looks like it was cut well. We got your string tree on here, just your standard string tree. You got the Fender logo. The neck does feel good. It's a nice satiny neck, and I do kind of like the profile. The modern C does feel really comfortable in my hands, so I think this is a phenomenal neck. As far as the electronics are concerned, I don't know necessarily what's in here. I'm going to guess alpha pots and probably some sort of like Oak Grigsby style switch that might be in here. So it feels good. This feels great. This jack down here, this jack plate, the cable's not necessarily flush with the tapering, so it's kind of on par with what Squiers done. So a lot of these are going to be like import parts, and they're going to have those like little signature import details. And so it's not. Oh, what am I doing wrong? I should probably look at what the plug is. I think it's not a bad instrument. As far as the pickups, though, I think the pickups are lacking. I feel like they're a little dark, and dark is not necessarily what I gravitate towards. I like something that's not necessarily ice picky, but something I could roll off the highs a lot easier than having to boost highs that aren't there. So I would rather have something that's going to have a little more sparkle, a little more attack. So I would probably lean on something that has like an Alnico 5 magnet, not the ceramic magnet. So these are going to give you some hot output. So this might be a great like punk rock guitar. I mean, the nice thing about $599 for a Fender these days is that it makes that price point accessible to a working musician. As we all know, as musicians, we don't make a lot of money. And if we are making a lot of money, we're not playing gear as much. So it's become kind of a hobby. I mean, yeah, the pickups do lack a certain quality, but that's, replaceable. And that's the beauty of a Fender product, and all guitars for that matter, but especially a Fender product, because Leo Fender wanted these things to be modular to begin with, to replace parts as needed. So there's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of options you have out there if you wanted to replace your pickups with something else. There's a ton of stuff you could do that with, especially some budget-oriented pickups out there. I mean, if budget is on your mind when you're buying one of these standard guitars and you don't want to throw down for a $300 set of pickups, there's some great third-party alternatives out there. As far as like at $599, do I feel like that's a fair price point? I mean, me personally, no, but other people are going to see it that way, and I totally respect it. My opinion about the $599 price point has nothing to do with the country of manufacture necessarily. Usually if I bring something up like that in that sort of vein, I come at it from kind of an exploitive perspective, meaning like, they're saving on labor to make a bigger profit. And, I love free market capitalism, don't get me wrong. So but part of being a free market capitalist is to call people out when you feel like they're kind of crossing a line a little bit. So I feel like $599 is kind of a profit bomb along the lines of what Fender did in the past with like the Tom DeLonge reissue, where all of a sudden, you know, they went from being a $399 Guitar Center in the early 2000s to all of a sudden the reissues were like, you know, $1,200. I mean, come on. Now the Tom DeLonge Starcaster, that's another guitar I should probably bring up that's made in Indonesia. And that one's also, I believe, what, $11.99? So Fender is not a stranger to having guitars made in Indonesia. So this being $599 made in Indonesia, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. Is it a good guitar? It does feel good. If I had it, if this was my guitar, would I do anything with it? Yeah, the pickups are coming out right away. I would take the pickups out like within the first 5 minutes. I don't like the sound of them. That's my personal opinion. You might like the sound of them. You know, this pocket amp also plays a role in how these things sound. But as far as like my initial impressions, that's as authentic as I can say. I find them to be a little too dark for my liking. But again, that's solvable. So I don't know. So if I were to buy this guitar for $599, I know I'd probably be paying another at least $100 for a different set of pickups that I will appreciate more. So that's that. I mean, the guitar is pretty cool. It says Fender Stratocaster on it. And on the back it says made in Indonesia with a serial number. And the serial number does start with what is it? ISF. So we'll have to decode that one later. I mean, it's a Stratocaster. It is a Fender, so we can call it a Stratocaster. It's got some good weight to it. I don't have my scale with me here, but I'm going to guess this is probably somewhere around like 7.8 pounds maybe. But yeah. As far as pick guards are concerned on this one, like if you wanted to treat this as a mod platform, this is your standard modern pick guard that you would see from the 60s onward. It also even has the universal mount for their pickups on here. So you got 2 screws on the top and then 1 screw on the bottom to adjust the angle of the humbucker. And if you watched my a previous video with the Gibson SG, you'll notice I did that on an SG as well. It's interesting. $599. So you should be able to pick this up at any of your retailers. I'm probably going to go ahead and leave links down in the description as well as to where you can pick one of these things up if you want to. And if you would consider supporting the channel, please do buy through those links because that does support this channel. It funds everything that we do here. But if you don't want to support us, that's totally fine. You'll pay the same price. You'll just give the 100% of the profits to Fender or Sweetwater or Amazon or whoever I choose to put affiliate links up for. So if you do like content like this, make sure you like this video and comment down below, subscribe, hit that bell notification to be notified when I do upload new content because that's also very, very important. Outside of that, thank you guys so much for coming to visit and check things out with me. I'm super excited and super grateful. Thank you, NAMM, for this amazing studio. What an opportunity. Thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Take it easy, everybody.